Hello, I'm Surfer Clock.
And I'm Tap G.
And welcome to What's the Attraction?
Where our work is your vacation.
Are you familiar with a man named Jeffrey Katzenberg?
Yes, I am.
Speaking to the audience, Tap G.
Oh.
Just like Chuck Jones and Don Bluth before him, Katzenberg was considered a man ahead of his time at the Walt Disney Studios, only to later leave and start a new animation studio that would rival Disney. While he did help Disney reinvigorate the animation renaissance of the 90s, his impatient nature cost him his likability and, ultimately, his job back in 1994. A few years later, he and music producer David Geffen and film mogul Steven Spielberg joined forces to create a new studio named DreamWorks SKG.
Until 2000, their animation output was largely glanced over by the public, both their 2D animated films and their CGI animated films. Many said they were trying too hard to rival both Disney and Disney's newest bestie, Pixar, who had released 3 hit movies in a row. But in 2001, all that changed. DreamWorks released its first big hit, Shrek. It was the first computer animated movie that came close to rivaling a Pixar movie, and audiences loved it. Its satirical tone and take on fairy tales was clearly a stab at Disney from an embittered Jeffrey Katzenberg, and the public ate it up, refreshed at a fairy tale with a hip, cynical edge.
Oh, you don't think it was mocking Disney? Listen to this.
Welcome to Duloc, such a perfect town. Here we have some rules, let us lay them down. Don't make waves, stay in line, and we'll get along fine. Duloc is a perfect place.
Or, if I can be allowed to put it in a different way, welcome to Duloc, such a perfect town. Here we have some rules, let us lay them down. Don't make waves, stay in line, and we'll get along fine. Duloc is a perfect place. Sounds to me like the bitterness went from kinda obvious to transparent.
While Disney and Pixar vie for a timeless quality in their movies, DreamWorks isn't afraid to fill their movies with pop culture references, satire, and a few adult jokes to make them contemporary. This trademark would permeate all of DreamWorks' CGI output. And who should get the rights to make a Shrek-themed attraction? Why, the theme park who's trying to rival Disney, of course! Universal Orlando Resort. The ride, Shrek 4D.
Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on.
When you enter the queue in the heart of Production Central, in fact the heart of Universal Studios, you'll notice 2 things. One, the exterior of the building is a combination of both a studio and a castle facade, reflecting a hackneyed Disney kitsch quality. And speaking of Disney, the second thing you'll notice is the faux attraction posters. They advertise attractions themed with Shrek characters parodying real Disney rides. For example, ever wanted to ride Disney's Dumbo the Flying Elephant, but with Donkey instead of Dumbo?
At this point, I'd say it's less of Katzenberg's bitterness and more of a Freudian complex.
There's TVs playing clips of the first Shrek movie played on a loop, highlighting the escapades of the Green Ogre and his Beast of Burden sidekick Donkey. Eventually you make your way into the dungeon filled with torture devices. Then you see Shrek's friends. Pinocchio, Gingy the Gingerbread Man, and the 3 little pigs are held hostage.
Lord Farquaad, the diminutive, vindictive baddie from the first Shrek movie, has returned from the dead as a ghost and is hell-bent on getting his revenge on Shrek. See, Farquaad was going to marry Princess Fiona to instate his own kinghood, but instead, she married Shrek and he became Dragon Crunchies.
You know, a wise man once said, "Meddle not in the affairs of dragons, for they are crunchy and taste good with ketchup."
Farquaad's magic mirror warns you of the impending danger, as Shrek's friends are being systematically tortured to spill the beans on his location. Once you grab your ogre vision goggles, you make your way into the theater.
When the show begins, it picks up where the first movie left off. Newlywed Shrek and Fiona, as well as their friend and wisecracker Donkey, are lost on their way to their honeymoon. The ghost of Farquaad steals away Fiona, prompting Shrek and Donkey to valiantly go after her. It's quite an adventure, featuring dragons, graveyards, waterfalls, onion coach chases, and so much more. Being a 3D movie, you kind of get to feel like you're actually there. Even your seat gets involved, rocking back and forth to stimulate the bumpy ride in the onion coach.
This attraction replaced Alfred Hitchcock, The Art of Making Movies in 2003, barely 2 years after the premiere of Shrek's first film. All the film's original actors, Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, John Lithgow, and others, returned for this attraction. Shrek 4D also plays at Universal Studios in Hollywood, Japan, Singapore, and is currently undergoing construction in South Korea for a 2014 opening. But since our travel budget is paper thin at best, we decided to stick to reviewing the ones here in Florida. What say you, Surfer Clock?
I say that they're actually mostly the same. I know the ride film is the same, the pre-show areas are about the same, but other than that, it's really not that much different. You were telling me that you had some sort of chronological problem with the 4D movie?
Yes, I have a very serious chronological problem with this movie. With the releases of Shreks 2, 3, and 4, it's really hard to get involved. I saw Shreks 1 and 2 before I went into the show, but I knew of the other two movies. But just having known about them and how they take place well after their marriage and how they all have different bad guys constantly distracted me. I kept thinking, why Farquaad as a ghost? Where's Puss in Boots? Where's Fiona's parents? Where's the fairy godmother? Where are the ogre babies? Where's Rumpelstiltskin? Yes, they weren't around when the show first opened, and that's just it. The show doesn't age well. The pre-show establishes that Shrek and Fiona's honeymoon is happening right now, hence you going into the pre-show to see them being tortured. So that's well after movies 2, 3, and 4. If they did like a parody of Cribs, where Shrek shows off his home life and then Fiona gets captured by all of them, Farquaad, Fairy Godmother, and Rumpelstiltskin, I'd love that. That'd be great.
That would be a pretty good update for the Shrek 4D. Yeah, but why don't we talk a little bit more about the attraction that we do have? More along the lines of the actual story that you get. I think it's a nice little you could almost call it a midquel between Shrek 1 and Shrek 2. I'm not even sure if they really knew they were making a Shrek 2 at the time.
No, most likely not. I mean, one of the biggest issues I had is why they had Farquaad return from the dead instead of coming up with a new bad guy.
Well, I mean, it was to bring folks familiar with that first movie into it, and I think, they'll get a lot out of it. But the story itself, let's talk a little more about that. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was pretty solid for what it was, a midquel. And the fact that it only lasts maybe, 10 or 12 minutes. I think they did a nice little mini story. I think it's pretty solid.
I think it was decent too. I'm not going to argue that. It was a good story and it had good effects. Well, okay, let me just restate that. Good effects. Not great effects, not bad effects, they're just good.
Yeah, the effects are okay. I mean, the seat moving and all that, and you get the little, I guess it's like a little whip thing at the bottom of the seat.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Those things in 3D movies, they always get me. Sometimes once you've seen one enough, you know when to lift your legs, but even then it'll still get you sometimes.
Yeah.
I find that kind of funny. It's like you can't avoid it. There's other unavoidable effects. I
didn't care for the seats rocking back and forth. I mean, when I rode mine, I didn't feel like I was in a bouncing horse carriage. I felt my seat going ka-thunk, 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 ka-thunk.
I don't know about yours. Mine felt like it was fine. Maybe we just have to try a different seat. Or maybe a different row. Because I know I'm always dragging you to the back row. Because I have a problem with sitting in the middle of a 3D movie. Like, in the middle of a theater. I don't feel like the effects are... And the 3D is not quite as good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Because then you see the effects over everyone else's heads.
Yeah, I suppose. But I think one of the best parts about this attraction, if not like the story and the effects, I think the pre-show is very entertaining. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it could also depend on the dungeon master that you have, but...
That's the employees at Universal that run it. They're dungeon masters.
Yeah, each of us. Okay. But yes, the dungeon master, I think they really kind of help to really make it good, but I think some of the stuff that doesn't involve the dungeon master spiels, like the magic mirror, friggin' funny. But I think overall, I mean, I don't think a pre-show can really save an attraction from not being great. I think it's good. I think it's good enough. Let me just say this about that.
I love the giant Facebook flags that are in there.
They're not Facebook. Those are Farquaad.
They're big blue flags with a white F on them. Are you telling me that has nothing to do with Mark Zuckerberg?
Maybe he went in there, saw it, and took it as inspiration. Who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and, while I think the pre-show is fantastic, the attraction itself is pretty good. I wouldn't go as far as to say I would do it all the time. I mean, I could probably do it maybe once a visit, but...
And you have no issue with the chronology thing that I said.
I don't. I really don't, because I can kind of think outside of the time... And there's not even really a solid timeline for Shrek. As far as... I mean, no, wait. let me stand corrected. There is an actual sort of timeline, but I think
it doesn't bother you.
It doesn't bother me. I try not to think about it too much. And for all that, I'm going to go ahead and give Shrek 4D a 3 out of 5.
And I give it a 2.5 out of 5. Good show, but the chronology really gets to me.
Okay, so that's a 3 out of 5 from Surfer Clock and a 2.5 out of 5 from Tab G. Well, as you can tell, it may be a movie, but there's more to it than just that. Because it's kind of rough for some people, Universal strongly urges that pregnant mothers opt out. That said, you should also be free of heart conditions, back or neck issues, and motion sickness. But let me just say that the attraction does offer a limited number of non-moving seats. They're stationary. They don't move. So you will have to ask one of the team members or dungeon masters about that and hope that you can get one of those. For those with hearing disabilities, assistive listening devices are available as well as closed captioning.
If you have a service animal, they are permitted, though know in advance that the show does feature some loud noises. Wheelchairs are welcome with reserved seating, and those in scooters will be required to transfer to a wheelchair first.
But the real question is this: who would get the most out of Shrek 4D?
Shrek fans? For sure, the authenticity is pretty evident.
It's meant mostly for the 8 to 12 crowd, I think. It's kind of intense for young kids and a little cute for an older crowd.
Oh, and you might want to skip this if you've seen Shreks 2, 3, and 4. If you're anything like me, you'll be lost.
No one's like you, Tap G.
Darn straight! When they made me, they broke the mold.
Yeah, then they beat the crap out of the mold maker. So thanks for listening in yet again, everyone. Once again, I'm Surfer Clock.
And I'm all kinds of awesome.
And thanks for listening to What's the Attraction?
Where our work is your vacation. Hey, what was that about the mold maker?
I said waffles?
Oh, waffle goodness! I'm making waffles, buttery waffles. It's waffle time, waffle time. Won't you have some waffles of mine?
See you next time,
waffles.
folks.